Huge drama is shaking the entire NBA world right now, and Warriors fans, you might want to sit down for this one, because what's happening in Golden State feels bigger than just one game, bigger than just one rotation decision, and maybe even bigger than one season. The headline says it all: Steve Kerr has benched Jonathan Kuminga, and it's happening right in the middle of swirling trade talks. And make no mistake, this is not a coincidence. This is the kind of move that sends shockwaves through the locker room, the front office, and the entire league. Let's start with the moment itself. The game is tight, the energy in the arena is intense, and fans are expecting to see Jonathan Kuminga, one of the most explosive young athletes on the Warriors roster, bring his usual burst of speed, power, and aggression. Instead, something feels off. Minutes go by. Then more minutes. The bench unit checks in, but Kuminga stays seated. The camera cuts to him, towel over his shoulders, eyes locked on the floor, jaw tight. Steve Kerr never calls his number. By the time the fourth quarter arrives, it's clear Jonathan Kuminga has been benched. Not injured. Not in foul trouble. Benched. Immediately, social media erupts. Fans are confused, analysts are stunned, and insiders start connecting dots that lead to one uncomfortable conclusion. This isn't just about basketball strategy. This is about control, trust, and the future of the Golden State Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga's journey with the Warriors has never been simple. From the moment he was drafted, he was labeled as raw but gifted, a physical freak with superstar upside. The kind of player who could dominate both ends of the floor if everything clicked. Over the past seasons, we've seen flashes of that promise. Powerful drives to the rim, lockdown defense against elite wings, and moments where he looks like the future of the franchise. But we've also seen frustration. Inconsistent minutes. A short leash. One mistake leading to a quick trip back to the bench. Steve Kerr has always valued system basketball. Ball movement. Defensive discipline. High IQ decisions. And while Kuminga's talent is undeniable, his fit within Kerr's system has been an ongoing debate. But here's where things get interesting. This benching didn't come quietly. It came at a time when rumors were already heating up, when league insiders were whispering that Kuminga's name was coming up more and more in trade conversations. That's why this moment feels different. When a coach benches a young player during routine development, that's one thing. But when a coach benches a cornerstone prospect while trade talks are swirling, that's a message. And the message might not even be for Kuminga. It could be for the front office. It could be for other teams. Or it could be for the locker room itself. Think about it. By benching Kuminga, Steve Kerr is essentially saying one of two things. Either he doesn't trust Kuminga to help this team win right now, or he's making a statement about accountability and standards, even if it costs him talent on the floor. Both possibilities are explosive. Inside the Warriors' locker room, this decision doesn't exist in a vacuum. Veterans notice everything. Stephen Curry notices everything. Draymond Green notices everything. When a young player with Kuminga's upside is suddenly glued to the bench, questions start forming. Is this about defense? Is this about effort? Or is this about something happening behind closed doors? Because let's be honest, players know when trade talks are real. They hear whispers. They read between the lines. And Kuminga is not just any young player. He's a former lottery pick who believes, deep down, that he should be starting, closing games, and being trusted in big moments. Benching him doesn't just hurt his minutes. It challenges his identity. Now imagine being Kuminga in that moment. You've put in the work. You've shown growth. You've had games where you looked like the second best player on the floor. And yet, when things get tense, when the spotlight is brightest, you're the one sitting. That kind of moment can either break a player or push him toward the exit. This is where the trade rumors start to feel less like speculation and more like inevitability. Around the league, executives are always watching situations like this. A talented young forward, athletic, versatile, and clearly not fully embraced by his current coach. That's a red flag, but it's also an opportunity. Other teams see Kuminga and don't focus on what he isn't yet. They focus on what he could be with freedom, with a longer leash, with a system built around his strengths instead of asking him to fit into a rigid mold. And here's the uncomfortable truth for Warriors fans. Steve Kerr's decision might actually lower Kuminga's value in the short term, but it also clarifies the situation. It tells the league that Golden State is willing to make hard choices. That no one, outside of the core legends, is untouchable. The timing is everything. The Warriors are at a crossroads. Stephen Curry is still elite, but the window is no longer wide open. Every season feels precious. The front office has to decide whether to lean into youth and development, or push all their chips in for one more championship run. Kuminga sits right at the center of that dilemma. He represents the future, but he's also one of the most valuable assets the Warriors could use to upgrade the roster right now. So when Steve Kerr benches him, it raises a critical question. Is this the beginning of the end for Jonathan Kuminga in Golden State? Some fans argue this is classic Kerr tough love. A way to demand more focus, better defense, smarter decisions. They point to past players who clashed with Kerr early on but eventually earned his trust. They believe Kuminga will respond, work harder, and come back stronger. And that's possible. Kuminga is young, competitive, and confident. He might see this as fuel. But others see something darker. They see a pattern. Inconsistent minutes. Public comments that feel lukewarm. And now, a very visible benching at the worst possible time. To them, this looks like the Warriors slowly distancing themselves from Kuminga, preparing fans for a move that might shock the NBA world. And let's talk about Steve Kerr for a moment. He's not an impulsive coach. He understands optics. He knows every decision he makes will be analyzed from every angle. If he chose to bench Kuminga in this moment, he knew exactly what message it would send. Kerr doesn't do things accidentally. This was deliberate. Which brings us to the power dynamic inside the organization. Is Steve Kerr fully aligned with the front office on Kuminga's future? Or is there tension behind the scenes? There have been reports in the past of differing philosophies. Coaches want players they trust. Front offices want assets that can grow or be moved. If Kerr doesn't believe Kuminga fits his vision, benching him is one way to force the issue. And then there's the human element. Basketball isn't played on spreadsheets. It's played by people with pride and emotion. Kuminga's body language on the bench spoke volumes. No smiling. No cheering. Just frustration. That image alone has already become symbolic of this entire situation. A young star waiting for his chance while the clock keeps ticking. Meanwhile, the Warriors fan base is split down the middle. Some fans are furious at Kerr, accusing him of wasting talent and mismanaging youth. Others blame Kuminga, saying he hasn't earned consistent minutes and needs to lock in defensively. And then there are those who feel a sense of dread, because they've seen this movie before. A promising player doesn't quite fit, tension builds, and eventually he's gone. If a trade does happen, this benching will be remembered as the turning point. The moment when everything shifted from development issues to irreconcilable differences. And if Kuminga stays, this moment will still matter. It will be the test that defines his relationship with Steve Kerr moving forward. One thing's for sure. The drama is real, the tension is high, and the NBA world is watching every move.